Hello, I'm Tagane. Today I'm going to show you, actually it is a new series, so I'm going to show you some starter functions, particularly different statistical analysis and uh, data management systems. So today I wanted to start with string functions in Stata. So one of the commonest problem during data collection is that to have a multiple response for a single variable or for a single questions. So those kinds of questions or variables may have multiple responses and concatenated responses together. So those concatenated responses of a question or a variable should be splitted for the sake of interpretation and also for to have more interpretable demi variables. Okay, so that my sessions on splitting string variables with multiple responses have three parts. So each of the sessions will be short, but you need to follow all of the parts to get a more comprehensive knowledge and skills to split concatenated responses of variables. So I will show you in the first session, I will show you using writing the do file using a do file. Second part will be I will show you using a drop-down menu which is already there in Stata. The third session will be dealing with many variables having multiple responses, so that I will show you looping, that is for each command to split multiple variables with a single command. That will be my session 3 in splitting string variables. Actually, based on your questions, I may add some other sessions on splitting string variables. Okay, so as I said earlier, having concatenated responses of variables or questions it's very common in surveys or researches. So that, for instance, if you program your data collection using different kinds of electronic platforms like ODK, SysPro, or SurveyCity, or Kobo Toolbox, and so on. So all of those electronic platforms have checkboxes. So that checkbox means that a single variable or single question might have multiple responses, so that when the data comes to Stata or Spaces, it have concatenated multiple responses. Okay, so that we need to change, or we need to split those variables to interpretable demi variables. Okay, so this is the best example. For instance, this is one of our research, so that those are the variables, so that those variables have multiple responses. That means checkboxes, so that when we see the data, it has these kinds of structures. So this 4872 or 147 should be splitted to have interpretable variables. Okay, so that I will show you how to split those concatenated responses in Stata, so that our sessions will be to split those variables into this form, so that I will show you how to do that. Okay, so let me start with my data. Already have, you need to have the data, so that I already have a data here in my starter. So let me show you the type of the data here, so we can browse. So this is ID. This is one of the variable fs2 with concatenated multiple responses fs12, fs13. So these are the the three variables with multiple responses. So we need to change. We need to split those variables into pieces of a single variable. So as I said earlier, my first sessions will be to show you how to split those variables using a do file, okay, with a do file, so that I wanted to split the variable, so that I will write split on, so that you have to first open a do file window, then you can start typing your command. So I will write split, and then I can add my variables to this command. Okay, so split. My first variable is fs2. Okay, then after splitting the variables, after writing split, you need to mention, or you need to the starter will generate a multiple dummy variables for each entries or responses, so that to have those things I will write generate, and I will open brace and fs2 underscore cut. So I wanted my new variables to be, their variable names to be fs2 underscore cut, so that here you can mention whatever you want, or you can write whatever you want, so that I wanted to um, just have this kinds of variable name, then the dummies will be created based on this name. Okay, then I will run this variables, and here, as you see, based on this dummy, it's already, there are around 8 dummy variables here. As you see, each of the dummy variables named as fs2 cut, which are already written here. So the starter will add numbers on this name. So this name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this variable, the original variable, have 8 options. Okay, those 8 options are splitted, each one of them. So one response will be one variable, the other response will be one variable. For instance, if a single variable have 20 options of responses, and then if we get all 20 of them as a response, then the starter will split 20 new variables based on that a single variable. Okay, so that's why we get here 8 variables with responses. Okay, so let's see now. Let let's see the variables, the contents of the variables, by typing tab 1. Okay, so here, as you see, based on our data, Under FS2 cut 1, we do have 4 responses. Bear in mind, the responses are different in each of the dummies. That means, for instance, in FS2 cut 1, we may have 1, 3, 4. So that it gives columns not specific to the response. Okay, for instance, the first column, the second, the third, and the fourth, the fifth, and the eighth. If there are 8 responses or options of, if there are 8 options for each question. So when we are splitting that question into 8 pieces. Okay, so that here, as you see, in FS2 cut 1, there are 1, 3, 4. In FS2 cut 2, 2, 4, 6, 8. So these are the, so already the variables are split. We can see also in the data by browsing. So here, as you see, FS2 cut 1, FS2 cut 2, cut 3, cut 4, and so on. So when you see those empty spaces here, later on it will be changed to missing values when we change it to numeric. Okay, so this means that there is no responses on those columns. Okay, so some of the observation responded for or some of the options. That's why these are empties. Okay, excellent. So that these are the splitted variables based on FS2. Now, we have to do is that here, let's go to the data. Here, as you see, there is 4 here, 8, 7, 2. So that we need to align the name of the variables and the type of the responses um, to have a similar responses in each of the options. Okay, in each of the options. For example, FS2 is about which of the following statements you agree with. Okay, so 1 means it has its own text or type of question. One means it has its own response, okay, or text to something like that, so that those 8 options are different options or different responses, so that we need to recollect those responses, 1 with 1 variable, 2 with 2, 3 with 3, and 4 with 4, because we didn't analyze FS2 cut 1 as a single similar response, because it has 4, 1, 3, and 2. So that we have to recollect 4 with 4, 1 with 1, 3 with 3, 2 with 2. Excellent. Okay, so that to do that, we have to write another variables, another command. Okay, so that I think in another sessions I will tell you about eigenfunction. In Stata, there is a so-called eigenfunction, which is similar with generate. It will generate a new variable, but it's more of an extended form of generate command. Okay, so that I will write eigen, and I will write eigen, then have to as I said earlier, to recollect the values 4 in 4, 2 into 3 in 3, then those 4 should come from all of the split dummy variables. Okay, so that I will generate a new variable. So I can name, so that I can name it as fs2 cat1 new. This means that our observations with response 1, that means from the 8 options, will be recollected in this variable. Okay, so that those responses or values should come from all of the dummies, as I said earlier. Okay, so I will write I will generate a new variable again, fs2 cat1 new any match that comes, as I said, that comes from those variables. Okay, then if those dummies have 1, then it will be if those variables have a response of 1, those ones should be recollected to this variable. Okay, and you also write for the second variable. So this command should be repeated 8 times for each of the options. So don't forget, for fs2 you have 8 options. Okay, you have 8 options, so those 8 options should have their own variables. Option 1 should have a standalone variable. Option 2 should have its own variable. Option 3 should have its own variable. Okay, excellent. So that this again should be repeated if you have equal to the number of options you have for the question or for the variable. So that if you have 8 options, you need to have 8 of those commands. Okay, but for instance, the second one is for the second variable, that is for number 2. Okay, so those variables will be the same, because option 2 might be there in this splitted variable, or in this splitted variable, or in this splitted variable, so that it should be those variables should be all should remain here, all of them. Okay, but the values that we need should be 2, so that those values will indicate the variable you want. For instance, if you want if you wanted to have a variable for option number 1, your value should be here 1. If you wanted to have 2 for a variable number 2 for option number 2, you need to specify here 2. Excellent. So this will be repeated, as I said earlier, as equal to the number of options you have. So this is my third, for the third option, so values will be 3. Excellent. So those eigenfunctions will work on numeric variables, so that, but since fs2 is a string variable, then the splitter variables will remain also a string variables. For instance, if you see the property of fs2, then it says here on stata under properties. If you click here in fs2, then you will get the type str15. Okay, this str15 means that you have a string functions, a string variable with a character of 15. Okay, so if we see the splitted dummy variables, let's say fs2 cat1, and you have a string 1, that means this variable is a string variable with one character, and almost all of those variables, the splitted variables, are string with one character. Okay, so that since those eigenfunctions will do in numeric variables, you need to change those variables into numeric. So here I will show you also another command which is called dstring. Okay, so that dstring means that in stata there are two types of conversion of stata to numeric. One is dstring if the variable only have a numeric values with no space or other additional characters. Okay, there's a second type of conversion of string variables to numeric is that encode. Okay, so that encode gives, I will show you actually, I will have another sessions on converting string variables to numeric variables, so that I will show you on the sessions about dstring and also about encoding. Okay, so but for now, since our variables, those variables have one character, the numeric variables, as we saw on the data here, you see 4 2 3 4 1 8 4 6 2. So these are a single character string values. Okay, so that these are numbers with no characters and spaces. Okay, so that I can use this string. Okay, so that I will write this string, then I will write the variables here, then I can say replace, or you can also keep the original variables, then you can generate new variables. Okay, so that here, as you see, all my commands are executed here. Okay, so that I changed those variables into numeric, so that let me see now the types of the variables. For instance, here, if you click in fs2 cat1, it says byte. Okay, so it changed it to numeric. Okay, if you see fs6, it says byte, so that all of my variables are changed to numeric from string. Okay, excellent. So after I change it to numeric, then I can I can run those functions. Okay, let me go to step by step. So this is execute, so that I will run execute. Okay, here it shows me that it's already the variable already done. Okay, so that here you see here fs2 cat new c node. So this is the new variable with numeric functions. So let me tap this variable. Yeah, excellent. So it showed me 0 to 1, so that it's already coded to 0 and 1. Excellent. So let me see the variable in data. Yes. So here it is 0 because number 1 is not chosen for the first respondent. That means ID 11 didn't responded for number 1. When you see ID 8, the next one, there is a response of 1. Here as you see in FS2 cat2, 4, 7. So I have 1 response here. When you go to the third respondent for ID 13, 1, 3, there is no response of 1. When you go to the last respondent, I have response of 1. So that here you get number 1, here you get number 1. Okay, so out of the 4 observations, two of the observations have a response of 1. Okay, let's go to the next one, the next variable, which is the second option of our mother variable of fs2. So I'll run fs2 cat new one any match. So any match means that that matches values of 2. Okay, excellent. It's already executed. Now let's tab the second variable fs2 tab. Excellent. So that I have 2 responses of 1 and 2 responses of no. So let's go to the response again, the data. Yeah. So it is option number 2. I have here option number 2, so that in number 2 it said 1. Here I think there is no number 2, so that it is also no, that means 0. So here for the third respondent, there is no response of 2. In the third respondent, there is a response of 1. Okay, excellent. So that this is the second variable for the second option. Yeah, so that you can continue like this to get all of your variables for each options. Okay, so let's tab the third variable. Yeah, still I have 1 for 2 of the respondent. So let's see the data. Yeah, so here you see for the third and the fourth respondent, I have a response of 1. So here it is 3. So that the first here I have 3. Then I have also 3 here. So that I got 2. I got a response of 3 in 2 of my observations. So that in general, these eigenfunctions will create a new variable by matching the values that you specify here, okay, out of those splitted variables, okay? So that if there is a response, then it gives 1 here as we have already observed on the data. So if there is value of 1 in each splitted variables, it gives a response of 1. If there is no any, if there is no any 1, or if option 1 is not selected, already says 0. Okay, so it's already the start already gives 0 for not selected options. Okay, excellent. These are, I think, helpful. If you have any questions, you can forward in the comment box or in comment section, or if you have any question, you can email me so that I can respond for your questions. Thank you very much for following my sessions. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel and also comment as the videos that I'm going to produce. That's already produced before, so that it will help me to um, correct on my future sessions. Thank you so much. Bye.